Hi folks, how are you all doing? Welcome back to another video with me. Here we are once again. This is quite early in the morning, about 8 o'clock, something like that. And it's a lovely time of year that I always enjoy, and for many of you who have been here and seen this little spectacle, I'm sure you do too. For those of you who have not been here and seen it, if you look in the background, you can see the sunlight now has been creeping down the bank for the past hour, and the trees are becoming lighter and lighter. As the water and the light on the bank meet together, you will see the perfect mirror image. It's almost there with that clump of grass. You'll see the perfect mirror image, and obviously those to the right, they're still in darkness. The sun is yet to sort of get past there. As you see, we just jumped because it takes a long time, and you don't want me waffling on forever and ever. But you can see it's an absolutely beautiful. You stand there in the morning, you've got these birds singing, and you've got this spectacle. It's good to be alive. It really is. Looking back over the last couple of videos, as you know, we were at Exmoor Fisheries. The sound there was strange to say the least, because there's a lot of volume going on there in the background with all the water flow. So just to recap a few points for you, we'll start at the beginning. And you saw us go into the hatchery, and on the right hand side there were some tall flasks. When it's time to strip the fish, which is November, December time, to strip the fish off the roe, they take the roe, they milk the cockfish, and then they add the milt and the roe together. They stir it well with a feather so as not to damage the eggs. They stir it with a feather, and then, and only then, do they start to add little drops of water. When they start to add those drops of water, there's a hole in the side of the egg which takes in the water, and the egg begins to swell. As the egg swells, it takes in the milk. And that's the bit that decides whether you're going to be male or female, and fertilises the egg. At that point, they put the eggs into that big steel flask and they pressurise it from 0 to several hundred psi, and that squeezes the hole, stops the further input of the XY chromosomes, and you end up with triploid trout, mostly female. Some of those eggs are taken to one side and they are put into the hatchery to hatch out, to continue with future breeding stock. As you saw the fry in the tanks, some of those were indeed to be the next generation of breeding stock. Others were destined for us and the reservoirs around to take fish in. It's a beautiful sight, isn't it, that sun coming down. Sorry, getting waylaid. Okay, so it takes the eggs are then fertilised, put into the flask, they're pressurised, and they become triploid youngsters. They then go into that very first raceway. It's long, it's very, very, not fast water, but good moving water, so that it's always fresh and clean. And every day they take the screen off from the end and they drain out all the debris from the bottom, pop the screen back in, and that way the fry are always living in beautiful clean water. The feeding is done automatically by a feeder in the middle of the raceway, as you saw. Now, trout like the shadow. They don't like to be in too much light. So those tanks were covered, as you noticed. Tanks are covered, the feeder's in the middle, which also lets a little bit of light in, and the fry go to the light and to the feeder, obviously. Now the stronger ones get underneath the feeder and they get most of the food. And as the fry go back, so they begin to grade, bigger to smaller. When they reach a reasonable size in the middle, a quick dip with the net, out come the larger fry, and they go to the next tank, where they will now be at the back. The fry that were behind those in the first tank now moves forward, and they become bigger. So eventually they're took out and put in the next tank, which will be behind the ones that went in before. And so on, down the raceways, growing in size, growing in size, growing in size. And that's how you get this nice, steady, stepped, different sizes of fish going through the raceways on a permanent basis, all the way through. As I've already said, they like the dark, so the light is very subdued until we get to the end. Now, you didn't see the end of the pools there. Right at the very end is a really big pool. It's the width of the shed. It's about 30 feet deep, and it contains deep water. This begins to acclimatise the fish to big swimming waters, and also they begin to acclimatise it to daylight hours. They're able to slightly open the panels on the roof and allow more and more daylight until eventually the fish are fully used to the photo period and they've grown somewhat, and then they begin their life outside, whereby they've got natural daylight and darkness and they've been acclimatised to it. Okay, just before we went in the fishery, you saw the massive power plant, and that's helped by solar panels, it's helped by the mains, but more to the point is that big generator just sitting inside the door. In the event of power failure, that generator kicks on very quick, because the pools and all those plants and the machinery, the hatcheries, all the lanes, they need oxygen, and we cannot be without oxygen. So that diesel generator needs to kick in very quick, and it needs to power up the generator. That in itself is another cost to them, because that costs them fuel, obviously, put that aside. It's run every week, it's serviced every year, it's made sure it is tip-top, so in the event of it being needed, it's there, boom, straight away. There's 2 people always living on site, so if the alarm goes off, whatever time, day or night, they're out there fixing whatever's gone wrong. Don't know whether you can see these now, but this is our tadpoles. Aren't they doing well? Look at the swarm there in the middle. Now you've got the little ones on the outside, and then there's this just black, wriggling mass. Sorry, you can see my shadow. There's a black, wriggling mass. Hundreds and hundreds of tadpoles on top of each other. It's great to see it. There they go, scooting round. Wow. So anyway, the fish, they move outside. And when they're outside there, they're in the bigger pools, lots and lots of oxygen. Sadly, Andy was cleaning out the supply, water supply, which comes straight from the bottom of Wimbleball. He was cleaning out the water at the time, so it had a little bit of sediment into it. And there's something like 15 million gallons a day of water goes through that hatchery, just to keep the fish in oxygen and in nice clean water. That's also fed by their own piece of land with their own springs on it, and the spring water is pumped into the hatchery, into the top pool, where it's joined by the river that comes down from Wimbleball, the big reservoirs up there in Exmoor, and that then flows through the fishery and goes back into the river at the far end. So there you have it. That's the story of a hatchery and fishery, and as you know, the fish then come to us at Bigwell here. As you can see on the lakes here at Bigwell at the moment, there's lots and lots of what appears to be a white scum on top of the water. This is actually willow seed. It's an absolute pain in the neck. It blows down off the willow trees and it clogs up the line in the water by late afternoon. And every morning it's gone. And every afternoon it comes back. We'll take a little walk now over and up the stream that comes down from the gin pool into the middle pool. And as we go up there, you're going to see the little old bridge. That's my next job. That little bridge, heaven knows why, but the willow tree roots love to grow underneath it. They can't grow over the side of it, they insist on growing underneath. It's like a coconut mat. And the only way to get those willow roots out of there, which as you can see now, is pushing the water over to the right and sometimes blocks up with a little stick. The only way to get those roots out is for me to get in there and cut it out with a saw. Lots of pulling, lots of tugging, lots of sawing, and get those roots out so that we can keep this beautiful, beautiful gin pool in pristine condition. And that's what we try to do. Just looking down into the gin pool at the moment, we have lots and lots of sticklebacks. Again, the colours on these sticklebacks this year are absolutely superb. Hope you can see a few just darting around. They're almost, if you know anything about tropical fish, almost like neon tetras. They've got a lovely blue back and bright red bellies. Never seen so many looking so well. We always try and look after our nature and try not to disturb the habitat too much. We have to do weed trimming, yes, but we do try to leave a little bit and some of the vegetation around the pool so that the insects, the damsels, the damsines, etc., etc., the tadpoles, everything can try and survive. The water shrimps, the caddisfly, the mayfly, we like to try and encourage it and try and keep it going as much as we can rather than just being heavy-handed and cutting it all out. Right up there in the distance, look, that's me doing another little job, chasing round as I always do, cutting the grass. It's not a bad little job, but it makes you vibrate a wee bit. And you do have to be very, very aware of the gradient of the banks and sit side saddle a little bit and lean forward a bit and lean back a bit. Mind the rocks and mind the potholes. It is a job that you need to know the ground, know what you're doing. Otherwise, I dare say, accidents will inevitably happen. But lucky for me, I've been doing it for many years now. And I know where all the little potholes are. And here's one coming up right now in front of us. Obviously rock, there's the bump, yeah. Just want to slow down for it to wait now the speed of the so I'm blows out on the side now. Down the bank, over the road, and over onto the pool. Great fun. Endless job. By the time you get to the end, put the tools away, it's more or less time to get the tools out and start all over again. You want to start doing the trimming, the cutting, the cleaning up, and inevitably one of the banes of our life is fly line. It gets stuck around the blades and it gets stuck around the fly mows and the streamers to the extent that it even melts and forms a hard collar. We're always having to strip the machinery down and clean it out. Think about that, guys. Try and pick it up. Take your line with you, put it in the bins provided, whatever. Do try not to leave too much line lying around. I'll see you again on another video. Until then, guys, tight lines.